So the last and final trailer of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie has finally come out, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about in today's video, guys. But the funny thing about this trailer breakdown is the fact that it's going to be quite different from the other ones we've had thus far. This trailer breakdown was way more action-centric and didn't really introduce a lot of new content, more so just interesting angles and shots that kind of make us project a lot of different things that could possibly happen into the movie. Whereas the previous trailers we got, we were introduced to a lot of new characters. We saw the flashback with Goku, Vegeta, and Broly as children, and we also saw in the initial trailer what kind of atmosphere Goku and his friends would be fighting in, where we see like this tundra-like snowy area. And when we actually break down some of the key details that we got to talk about in today's video, guys, we got to start off with Super Saiyan God. Now, I think from an eye-catching standpoint, that's probably going to be the very first thing that many of you guys noticed about this trailer. And I think it kind of tells us a lot about this movie in itself. So we see that Vegeta is a regular Super Saiyan God in this movie. He's not a Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, also known as Super Saiyan Blue. We actually see Vegeta as a Super Saiyan God. If you guys have followed the Dragon Ball Super manga, you guys would know that Vegeta is capable of using the Super Saiyan God state in Dragon Ball Super's manga. However, he's never actually done it in the Dragon Ball Super anime, and I find this quite interesting, because what this now is confirming to both the anime and the manga is that Vegeta is completely capable of using this technique, and anyone is capable of using the Super Saiyan God form if you know how to manipulate Super Saiyan God Ki. Now, I do think that there are going to be some certain theories that could make legitimate sense as to how Vegeta learned this. Some of you guys can say, well, Vegeta was in the Super Saiyan God ritual with Goku, so maybe he absorbed some of the God Ki that went into Goku's body. But I honestly think that if you just know how to utilize God Ki and you can go into Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God is just going to be like a downgrade from what Blue would be. So I don't really think it's anything special that Vegeta could get this transformation. However, I do think from a visual point it is interesting to see Vegeta progressively showing off all of his Super Saiyan forms, even though we've never officially seen Vegeta turn Super Saiyan 3, which kind of puzzles my mind even till this day. And the next thing we gotta also discuss here, guys, is also dealing with the henchmen. Now, as you guys would know, there are certain henchmen that were being introduced from both the flashback and the first Broly trailer. And two of the key characters that we've seen have been Shallei and Lemo, who are obviously characters that are a part of Frieza's empire. And the interesting thing about this trailer is that in looking at this trailer and in looking at what Herms tweeted a while ago, there seems to be an interesting plot line involving these characters. So, based off of how young Shallei looks, and based off of what Herms tweeted about her, Shallei seems to be a new recruit to Frieza's empire. Because she wasn't shown in the flashback, that probably indicates that Shallei will be a newer recruit to Frieza's empire. However, if you look at Lemo, Lemo is apparently being stated to have been a part of Frieza's empire for a long time. So, we're seeing a contrast where one character is a veteran of Frieza's empire, whereas one is most likely going to be a new recruit. And the interesting thing about what Herms tweeted a while ago is that he mentions that Shallei is a rebellious teenage-like girl and made a mistake with Broly into somehow possibly activating his character, which really shows that there's obviously going to be a divide between Frieza's empire and what's going on with Broly, and Shallei somehow did some mistake to activate Broly's power or to tempt Broly in some way, whereas it also is mentioned by Herms that Lemo knows his limits when confronting Broly. So I find that very interesting, guys, that what Herms is reporting about this is that Shallei made an accident with Broly, and it's being reported that she's rebellious, whereas the other character is more savvy and knows his limits with Broly, which obviously means that both Shallei and Lemo are possibly going to have some type of divide within each other throughout the plot, because why else would one of them make a mistake with Broly but the other one knows his limits with Broly? In addition, we also have a sequence in which Shallei and Lemo have a full set of Dragon Balls, and if we go back to Resurrection of F, this clearly indicates that these characters were capable of getting their hands on the Dragon Balls by themselves, or with some use of assistance. And because Shallei and Lemo are going to be extremely weak characters compared to the main cast, I think this gives them a strong subplot that could obviously carry the movie into another direction instead of just having the big boss fight against Broly and obviously the other minor characters of the film itself. Now, the next thing we got to talk about, guys, is actually dealing with Whis. Now, I'm sure many of you guys have noticed that we saw Whis moving around against Broly in a lava-like background in this trailer. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, that was probably one of the more eye-catching things of this trailer. Reason being is because from what we saw in Resurrection of F, Whis and Beerus were essentially just bystanders in what happens in the movie. They didn't really have a major role other than Whis reversing time for Goku to go back and obviously give Goku a chance to kill Frieza. So because of this obviously indicates that Whis is going to be more than just a side character that's just observing the fight with Beerus like we've seen, you know, in Resurrection of F or in the future Trunks arc or in the Tournament of Power. And I think that makes this dynamic significantly more interesting because we know very little about Whis as a character. We know that Whis has an ability with his staff that he can just pop out babies. Whis can speak the ancient language of the gods. Whis can do a lot of cool, mysterious things in the Dragon Ball show. But other than training Goku and Vegeta, he's never really been shown to be an actual fighter. And I think that seeing Whis possibly being engaged in a battle is probably one of the more eye-catching things of everything, because as Dragon Ball fans, we simply just don't see Whis fighting at all in Dragon Ball. And I definitely think that makes Whis' character significantly more interesting than it would have been prior to this trailer, because we all probably would have guessed that he would have just been a bystander, as we always have. In addition to Whis, guys, I also want to mention to you guys about Goku making a very key important statement in this trailer. So in this trailer, we see Goku making a statement in the English sub version saying, "You're not really a bad guy." And I understand that some of you guys may say that this is a huge stretch, but if you really think about it, the fact that Goku is saying you ain't really a bad guy goes into a video that I talked about months ago where I said Broly isn't a villain, where he's more so just a tool of Paragus instead of being an actual villain on his own accord. And what I think this makes, you know, Broly up as a character is the fact that if Broly truly is being controlled and he's essentially just the muscle for Paragus's, you know, will, I think this could possibly be implying that Broly could come back for a future arc in Dragon Ball Super. I already heard a lot of people on Discord and my friends talking about this statement to a great degree, because if Goku's saying you're not really a bad guy, that really impacts how this could possibly, you know, show the future of Broly's character. And Goku would obviously not say that about Frieza of all characters, because we all know, guys, that Frieza is clearly a bad guy, even if he helped them win the Tournament of Power. So I definitely think hearing Goku saying you really aren't a bad guy is definitely going to impact the future direction of Dragon Ball Super. And last but not least, guys, I think the last thing we got to talk about for this trailer breakdown is how everything is going to end. So before this trailer, guys, there's been a lot of speculation, as always, in the Dragon Ball community, where people are thinking that there's going to be a Gogeta fusion, there's going to be a Vegeta fusion, Goku's going to go Ultra Instinct, or Vegeta and Goku are just going to beat Broly as blues. If you look at the ending of this trailer, guys, where we see Goku and Vegeta both powering up, you know, their energy blast, I definitely think that that's showing a lot about what's going to possibly happen here. Because if Goku and Vegeta are powering up their energy blast as blues, I think that that hints that this movie is going to have somewhat of a duo ending to Broly, right? I don't think it's going to be something like Resurrection F, where Goku comes in and just gets an easy victory over Frieza, who was caught off guard. Or I don't think Goku's going to go Ultra Instinct, because we kind of already saw that in the Tournament of Power. So if Goku got Ultra Instinct and then had to fight against Broly again, that would be an extremely predictable and an extremely cliche way of Goku winning the fight. It would be the most unoriginal ending to a Dragon Ball movie, because it's like, okay, you just literally just cashed in on what was happening in the Tournament of Power, and you had no unique ending to how this movie was. Which is why I don't think Ultra Instinct is going to happen in this movie. So what does this all say? I think this now narrows it down to two possible choices. I think Goku and Vegeta are going to have a major team up and will defeat Broly with a major attack at the end as individual Super Saiyan Blues, or I think they will have some sort of fusion to defeat Broly. I think the movie has to hype up Goku and Vegeta needing each other to defeat Broly, because that's the only way that this would create tension. Because if Broly is supposed to be the super powerful guy and he comes back, and Goku has a transformation that was already better than Broly from the very beginning, that makes Broly a complete punk as a villain, and I definitely think that is why we need a duo team up to defeat Broly in the end. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe, and remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.